Hey folks, I've got some exciting news to share before we dive into today's video. This humble channel is about to celebrate its very first anniversary. Yes, that's right. It all started on January 25th of last year. Since then, we've published 40 videos and grown to nearly 2,500 subscribers, and that's a huge achievement for me. So I have a few ideas to celebrate this milestone and ramp up content creation this year, but I'd love your input to make it even better. So drop your suggestions in the comments, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to hit that button. Do it! Do it! And let's get into today's video. Hey guys, it's morning here. Welcome back to my channel. I just woke up like 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Okay. And I decided last minute to record this legacy challenge because I'm pretty confident with my deck. Let's mulligan this. Oh, let's mulligan again. Oops. Let's go to 4. Okay, this is our best hand. Let's keep it. As I was saying, I'm feeling pretty confident with my deck, and I noticed that I didn't record a challenge with it yet, playing it. So okay, my opponent has a basic mounting, and we'll start with this Iwouldliketorespond Gaze. Let's play on my opponent's turn because they can have Pyroblast or something. What? Just 2 mountains? My opponent kept 7 cards, right? Okay, that's really suspicious. Let's try to resolve this Iwouldliketorespond Gaze. Oh, Pyroblast. Oh, let's drink some coffee. I have another Iwouldliketorespond Gaze on my upkeep. Okay, all of those are good hits. Let's put everything into my graveyard. Akumoiba enters the battlefield. My opponent has, let's dredge. My opponent has main deck Pyroblast, so I'm thinking about Painter. I will not reveal my Cephalic Coliseum yet. Let's suggest to our opponents that we don't have any other lands. Okay, where's the Saga? So, oh, Fable. So, not a Painter deck. Goblin Shaman is there. This is such a slow start. My opponent kept a hand of 7 because of Pyroblast. Okay, we'll dredge 6. We have Narcomoeba. And we have only dredge 4 there. We could try to resolve this Iwouldliketorespond Gaze, but I think after my opponent having Urza Saga, dredge 4, dredge 5, I think we should take a risk here. Okay, so we even have an extra Cephalic Coliseum. This was a great draw. We have 2 Poxwalkers there, 1 Dredge Return. So let's discard only Dredgers. Okay, I'll definitely cast a Cabal Therapy, so let's attack first. And my opponent is down to 19. Let's cast this Cabal Therapy. What would I name here? Fury, maybe? The One Ring? Not sure. Let's name Painter Servant, since my opponent has an Urza Saga. Okay, it is Painter, and my opponent has double Lightning Bolt, Goblin Engineer. Okay, so we don't have other therapies there. Let's see what my opponent can do on their turn. Okay, we'll discard 2, draw 2. Discarded 2 cards. Play basic mounting. Goblin Engineer, okay. They have a Painter Servant, so they have the combo on their turn. We must win or die on our turn now. We will not block here, no bridges yet. And we will not lose this game by damage. So dredge 6. Okay, now I have a breach. Should I fire this Cabal Therapy before cracking Cephalic Coliseum? I don't think my opponent will block, so let's attack first here. If they block, that's fine, we will lose a single breach. But I don't think my opponent will block. Okay. I think if we win here is through the combo. So let's cast this Cabal Therapy first. We don't need to prioritize creating zombies. My opponent is thinking about their Lightning Bolt. Yeah, they will bolt their own Goblin to exile our bridges, but that's fine. I think I'll just name Lightning Bolt here. My opponent had another one. So, Lightning Bolt. Okay, a Red Elemental Blasting. Oh no, my opponent did discard their second Lightning Bolt. I'm still sleeping, guys. But that's fine. This Red Elemental Blast will not hurt us. And now we can try to win the game. We have double Dredge Return. We only need to hit Oxophagonus or Satoru to win the game now. Okay, so we'll dredge 6. Okay, Satoru is there, we have the win. Dredge 5 and dredge 5. 10 cards in our deck, several bridges. And this is an important thing our deck does. Doesn't matter too much, right? As long as we have a dredge return. Sometimes we will not have a mountain in play. And sometimes you have this situation where if you just pass a turn, you lose. So it's important to win right now, not giving your opponent an extra turn to win the game. And this is something that usually older dredge decks couldn't do it, because you do a lot of zombies and pass the turn to win only in your next turn, but then your opponent combo you because they already have permanents in play, or maybe they just have a top deck or the One Ring or something. So from considering everything that we did, building this deck this year, this was probably one of the best things that we could do, to include a combo finish that, let's name a red elemental blast here, but it doesn't matter. A combo finish that you can reach in your deck if you cannot, if you don't have future turns, if your opponent is about to win. So we still have 10 cards in our deck. I'm still sleeping here. let's be sure that I don't do any mistakes. We have Dredge 6, 5, and 4. So we still have Cabal Therapy. We must reveal Thassa's Oracle. So let's return Ox of Agonas here. More guaranteed that we'll go to the very bottom of our deck, because now we can Dredge 5, 4, and draw one card. If this one less card is Oracle or Therapy, it doesn't matter. We will win anyways. Okay, my opponent conceded the game. Let's finish this coffee. Okay, those shenanigans here, I'm playing 2 shenanigans for the very first time here. After playing only 1 shenanigans in my previous months. And I'm not expecting shenanigans to be that great against Painter on the draw, but you never know. I can include 2 gravestones and some bounce spells or 2 consign to memory instead of shenanigans. But I don't want to dilute my deck too much. I think only 4 cards are the best thing we can do. Only exchanging 4 cards, I mean. Maybe 6 cards, but maybe it is too much. Okay, let's see what we can take from our deck here. We are on the draw. My opponent probably will have some target spells, things that target cards, so the combo loses relevance. But I still like to Thassa's Oracle and Dredge Return. If I... Anger is so good here because our opponent has a fast combo. Let's try like that, keeping Anger and Thassa's Oracle, and taking a little bit of everything, a little bit of the combo, 1 threat and 2 enablers. Because we are on the draw, so I would like to test this. Maybe this is just too much. 6 cards against Painter on the draw. But I honestly don't have that much repetition against Painter with this deck. I played like 3 times maybe. So I'm creating my new sideboard guide. Will be published this week on my Patron. So okay, this is a mulligan. And I still need more repetition with this deck against Painter to be sure about which path is the best. That's mulligan. Oh no, my opponent also is going to 6. And in case you are learning this deck, this is an obvious mulligan, right? You have 1 land, but no enablers, no red enablers. The basic mountain is here to be fetched, usually, against tempo decks. This is not a good way to start. Let's try 4. Okay, this is a 4-card combination that can win the game. Guys, in case you're hearing some noises here, is because my neighbors are doing something in their apartment. Hope you are not getting too many noises. Okay, my opponent played only a basic mountain and passed. We'll play this LED, hoping that we draw a single land. My opponent has an obviously blast there, so... Okay, my opponent has a Painter's Servant. Let's draw a land, please. Let's draw a land and win this game. My opponent is stepped out. Okay, not a land. Let's wait 1 more turn. Yeah, maybe we will lose this because we couldn't find a playable hand. My opponent will just attack with Painter. Okay, that might indicate that my opponent has Graveyard Aid, because my opponent kept a hand with Painter Servant and 2 lands and nothing else. Maybe they have Fairy Macabre or Surgical or something. So Painter is attacking. The clock is ticking. 18 turns. Now what? Oh, no lands. Come on. We are giving all the time our opponent needs. What? Okay, now they have Grindstones, so they will have the win next turn probably. Oh, they have a Simian Spirit. Oh, double Spirit Guide. Okay, my opponent has the win. Let's not show what we have after sideboarding against our opponent. Now being on the play, do I change something? Or do I keep the same configuration? Consign to memory is even better on the play. On the other hand, maybe you don't want to be so defensive. Let's see. Will I go with the safest route or just submit the deck back? Okay, let's try the same configuration for the science. Because as I said, I am building my new sideboard guide for this deck, for the updated deck after the bans. And maybe this is actually good. Okay, this is not a great hand. Let's mulligan. Oh, deck. Come on, let's mulligan again. Okay, not the greatest hand, but as a mode to 5, this is good. We have a turn 1 Silent Gravestone and a turn 2 Looting. It's not a blue spell, so that's something. And Gravestone is actually good against Painter because it also stops the Goblin Welder, Goblin Engineer shenanigans. So let's start with Silent Gravestone and pass the turn. My opponent has Urza's Saga. Okay, we don't have much time here because my opponent probably has Soul Guide Lantern in their deck. Mishra's Research desk. Okay, you don't need to worry about. Oh, LED is so good. Okay, guys, now we can even win the game. Let's hold priority. And this is the power of Lion's Eye Diamond. We discard our hand, adding 3 red mana to our mana pool. We dredge 6. We dredge 6 again. And that's it, unfortunately, but we can repeat that. I mean, 2 Narcos are great, but I mean, that's only that because we couldn't hit our other combo pieces, but we are dredging 12 again. 6 and 6. Okay, 1 bridge. 1 dredge return, but no Ox. We don't have Sator anymore, right? So it makes sense. Let's see what my opponent is hiding. I think Pater's Servant, since my opponent has an Urza Saga that can... Oh, my opponent has Surgical and Fairy Macabre. And Boots, okay. And Pater's Servant. So we hit Pater's Servant with my Blind Cabal Therapy, and our Silent Gravestone is doing some heavy lifting here. Now the question is, do I cast more therapies here? My opponent will probably cast this Lava Spur Boots. Do we care? Probably we care, right? But maybe I keep 1 Cabal Therapy for the future instead of... Yeah, we will take the Boots. The question here is if... Lava Spur Boots. If we should cast the 3rd Cabal Therapy just to put 1 extra power in the battlefield. But I think this will not affect our clock. Having 5 or 6 power in play probably will not affect our clock. And maybe next turn we'll have more bridges, so we have more zombies. So let's save. Let's save 1 Cabal Therapy for next turn. This can exile the top 2 cards. Yeah, my opponent will go there immediately. Fury and Simon Spirit Guide. My opponent will cast Fury here just to exile 1 bridge if they have another red card in their hand, and to destroy 2 zombie tokens, but I'm not sure if this is wise. Yeah, my opponent chose Fury, but they seem to not have an extra red card to pitch to Fury yet. So let's clean this. We dredge 6 more bridges. Oh yeah, 2 more bridges. And we don't have Anger, but I think we will probably have what we need to win this game. Let's attack dealing 5 damage first, because a single Dredge return will create so many zombies, and Grave Troll is excellent as a giant attacker. My opponent would need something like Ensnaring Bridge to win this game. And they cannot cast Surgical or Fairy, so they will always have 2 cards in their hand because of Silent Gravestone. Okay, my opponent conceded the match. We won our first round. Let's make another cup of coffee, and I'll come back in just a couple of minutes. I want to say thank you to all my patrons that you can see here on this page. Guys, you are awesome, and I can create content because of your continuous support. If you also want to help me as a content creator, please go there, check my Patron page, patreon.com/thedredgeguy. See you there. Okay guys, let's continue this. We are paired against JPA 93. My opponent is a great player, but our hands are not good. My opponent is a notorious show and tell player, so maybe he is on that. Let's mulligan this. Oh, deck. Let's mulligan again. Okay. Again, we are mulliganing to 4, but with double gaze and double lands. I'll not keep dredgers here because I think lands and enablers are usually better when we don't have a functional hand. And my opponent is also a Force of Will deck, so let's cast our first Otherworldly Gaze. Yeah, my opponent is considering countering my Otherworldly Gaze here, probably because I had a mulligan to 4. So it is tempting to counter this. Oh no, okay. It just resolved, and we have dredgers. Not great things to draw, but we are doing something. Okay, my opponent has a Lotus Petal. Oh, they have a turn 1 Show and Tell? Show and Tell, yeah. We have a basic mountain. What do you have, opponent? Atraxa. Okay, Atraxa will draw several cards here. 2 Emeralds. Let's see what my opponent will choose. Probably Emerald Force Show and Tell, if they don't have that many lands. Volcanic, Show and Tell, Emerald. Let's see. Show and Tell, Volcanic, Force of Will, Sneak Attack, and Emerald. Just a casual draw 5. Yeah. My opponent needs to discard 2 cards. Okay, Sneak Attack and Mountain. So my opponent has a Force of Will. They will probably counter whatever we have here. Let's see. Okay, no Narcos. I was hoping to find a Narcomui, but and Cabal Therapy to take my opponent's something. Maybe not Force of Will, because now my opponent has a Show and Tell, so we are playing from behind. I bet my opponent will counter this Otherworldly Gaze. They probably have another blue card in their hand. Is my voice too deep? I think I need a cup of tea. Not only coffee, also a tea with some mint, ginger, and honey. My opponent is thinking severely about this Otherworldly Gaze. Maybe they will force exiling Brainstorm. Okay, so now my opponent has an Emerald next turn. This puts us in a bad situation. We still can win this. It will not be easy, but we can. Okay, my opponent will play that volcanic island that we saw before. Show and tell. We will put this grave troll in play, why not? But now we are dead to a single attack, so I think I will cast this Otherworldly Gaze in my upkeep here. Trying to hit, I don't know, LED, looting. Okay, we did hit looting. And a Dredge return. We have 2 Dredge returns. We only need to... Let's keep looting on top. We only need to find a single combo piece. And maybe we can even win the game. Come on. Looting for the win. We'll Dredge 11 here. Oh, my opponent has a Force of Will. Come on. You just gave me hope. Let's concede here. Now on the play after sideboarding, it is harder. But my opponent had a turn 1 show and tell, and we had a mulligan to 4. Let's consider this situation here. We could include some answers to a potential Gravedigger's Cage or Surgical Extraction. But now we are on the play, and historically, against show and tell, especially when you are on the play, you don't want to be too defensive. Of course, your opponent can have some answer, but I believe they will keep any starting hands with a fast combo or enablers plus counterspells. They will not dig until they find a Graveyard Hate piece. And some of our opponents will not have any Graveyard Hate. Okay, we have a Cabal Therapy and double Coliseum. Is this good enough to win the game? Cabal Therapy on turn 1, Coliseums on turns 2 and 3. This is good against... My opponent doesn't play with Wasteland. This is good against Force of Will. Let's skip this. Because I can Cabal Therapy myself. If my opponent counters that, I can repeat this on turn 2 with Thessa's Oracle. Okay, my opponent is going to 6. It's not the strongest hand, but... okay, my opponent is going to 5. But I think it is still a keep. It's barely a keep, but it is a keep. Let's start with Underground Sea, Cabal Therapy targeting ourselves. Grave Troll, the best troll ever printed. It's not Troll of Khazad, it's Golgari Grave Troll. And now we have a Dredger. My opponent knows about our hand. They play Scouting Turn, corrects it, Volcanic Island, and Ponder, okay. The good news is that if this Ponder finds Force of Will or Force of Negation or something, my opponent didn't shuffle, the Cephalic Coliseum is not counterable. It's an uncounterable way of dredging 3 times. And we have 3 enablers there. So Dredge 6, Dredge 5. Okay, we have Anger, but no red mana, unfortunately. Let's discard Boxwalkers and shoot Grave Trolls. We need more, but we have more for next turn. And since we have Boxwalkers, we can cast those 3 or 2 therapies. The first here is, oh, my opponent will counter Force of Will, Exiling Force of Will. Okay, we have another one. And this is an obvious show and tell, right? Because my opponent didn't shuffle that, so maybe they have show and tell plus creature. Yeah, show and tell plus Emrakul, okay. We did put a break on our opponent's hand. They don't have mana. Even if they have a second show and tell, they cannot cast it yet. So let's win the game. We Dredge 6. Okay, we have Breach, Narco. We only need to find 1 extra creature. Let's attack first, since we will not... If anything goes wrong, let's guarantee these 3 points of damage. Because we will not win by attacking this turn. We don't have a mountain. So we'll Dredge 6. 6, Narco is our 3rd creature. And 6 again. Okay, now we have Ox and Thessa's Oracle. We have the win here, unless my opponent has something weird like a Fluster. But we have 2 Cabal Therapies, so... Yeah, my opponent conceded the game. Ooh, now it's game 3, but we will be on the draw. My opponent can have a turn 1 show and tell again, and we don't have answers for that. I think my opponent's style is aggressive, and I will just submit the deck back without any changes. We didn't see anything like Cage or Surgical, so let's just try to be faster than our opponent. This hand is obviously a mulligan. It's I don't want to trust in a single Otherworldly Gaze. On the other hand, we have Cephalic Coliseum and our best Dredger. If my opponent resolves a turn 1 show and tell, we can play Ox of Agonas and go from there. My opponent is going to 5. I think I'll keep this. Just because my opponent is going to 5, so maybe this is good enough. Going to 5, they will not always have an interaction on turn 1, a Force of Will or a counterspell. So maybe, my opponent has a Volcanic Island and pass. Okay. Draw a Cabal Therapy, not the best now, just in the future. We'll cast Otherworldly Gaze on my opponent's... Okay, my opponent casts Brainstorm. In response, we cast Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, great hits. Great hits. Think Imp can go to our graveyard. And now what? I cannot keep both. LED is interesting here because if LED resolves, we can discard our hand, cracking Cephalic Coliseum, resolving Ox after that. And Breakthrough can be countered by Flusterstorm or Daze if my opponent has 2 counters. I'm not sure if my opponent has Daze. Yeah, I will not be greedy and keep 2 cards on the next 2 draws. I think I need to choose 1. Breakthrough is the most powerful card, but I think LED is safer. Yeah, let's put Breakthrough into our graveyard and keep LED on top. And this is because we have Ox of Agona, so I know that our LED will for sure have something to do. I mean, sometimes you have LED, you crack in response, or some situation similar to this one. And sometimes even having 1 Oxen for Faithless Looting, sometimes you'll go to the middle of your deck and you cannot find a red spell. But this time, we have our best red spell in our hand. Let's just hope for... Okay, just a land. No show and tell, no show and tell. Okay, just ponder. Unless my opponent has 2 Lotus Petal, we maybe can win the game next turn. My opponent shuffles their library, that's important. Oh, they have 1 Lotus Petal. And pass the turn, come on. LED on top. Let's place a Phallic Elysium to play around Fluster. And now I'll crack this for 3 red mana. We have 8 cards in our graveyard. Let's crack the Phallic Elysium. This is turn 2. We dredge 6. No Surgicals yet. Dredge 5 and Dredge 4. We already have a Cabal Therapy and Poxwalkers there. So I think I'll cast it. I still don't think that my opponent has a Force of Will here. They have 3 cards in their hand, but I'm not having right decisions. Okay, my opponent doesn't have anything, just a Brainstorm and a Pyroblast. So let's cast this Ox of Agonas, putting some pressure in my opponent. They will probably cast the Brainstorm in response, trying to hit Force plus blue card. And if they hit Force plus blue card, it's okay. They only have a Pyroblast. Okay, my opponent conceded a match. We won. We started this challenge 2-0. Now I'll read something and I come back in a second. Okay, we are on the play. And we are playing against a friend, Marcos. We are on the play and my opponent usually play with blue decks, sometimes white decks. They can have Force of Will. This hand is like a Force of Will proof. I'd like to have a better hand, but I think it's fine. Let's keep it and see what the future holds for us. So let's play Underground Sea and cast Cabal Therapy targeting ourselves first. Usually I just play LED first, but my opponent may have a Prismatic Ending. So let's name Grave Troll first. It is in our graveyard. And I'll keep this LED. My opponent knows about it, but I know that since we know each other, I know that my opponent has been playing with blue-white decks. Oh, my opponent must probably have something bad for us. They just told me here, he just told me here on the chat that almost sorry about this. So, yeah. No. Okay, so Guide Lantern on turn 1. Okay, now what? Now we need something spectacular. Maybe my opponent didn't keep a great hand. Maybe this was just a Soul Guide Lantern hand without anything. Let's try to keep a positive mind. I'll cast Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, good hits. Let's put everything into the graveyard. I would like to have something extra to keep on top, since my opponent will likely crack this Soul Guide Lantern, and then we'll have only LED. But we need to push here to push our opponent into cracking the Soul Guide Lantern as soon as possible. So that's fine. Now we need to top deck something. My opponent is, okay, Tamio. Hopefully he will not, oh, just an Amoeba. Hopefully they don't have Brainstorm. Let's cast it. It seems like my opponent kept a hand with Soul Guide Lantern, Tamio, maybe removals, but no forces. Maybe he has a Force of Will. I'm just speculating. Yeah, just Lowering Revealed. And my opponent did the absolute right thing, keeping a hand with Soul Guide Lantern against us, right? Urza Saga. And Arkish Bowmasters. Okay, no white removal, but an Arc. Now our life is becoming super difficult. I think I'll fetch to Finn here. I'm not sure if my opponent has Wasteland. Maybe not, since they have Urza Saga. Okay, Stinkweed Imp. The thing is, if I cast Stinkweed Imp as a blocker, my opponent probably have a white removal, and it will get exiled. So our best shot here is to crack LED to put Stinkweed Imp there, and then maybe finding some looting, some flashback spells to win the game. My opponent can flip this Tamio if he wants. No? Not yet. So I think they will create a construct instead. Come on, let's hit Faithless Looting here. No looting. We are not being lucky here, but I don't think my opponent has too many pieces of graveyard hate in the main deck. Maybe more after sideboarding. Okay, they will exile our Narcomoeba, that's fine. So I think I just play this Stink with Imp here. Okay, my opponent just creates a construct. Let's keep it on defense. My opponent will draw a third card. Okay, exiling our Stink with Imp, that's fine. It's better to exile our Dredgers than Poxwalkers, right? So, and my opponent will try to push some damage here. Maybe trying to win next turn. So we need to be lucky. Faithless Looting. And my opponent has only one card in his hand, so okay, it is resolving. Dredge 6. Narcomoeba, Narcomoeba. No Narco. We lost. Oof. After a turn 1 Soul-Guide Lantern, this could end in a win. Amazingly, right? So let's do better after sideboarding. It will be hard, but we can definitely pull a win here. Considering what we saw, I'm not sure if we should change anything in our deck. Shenanigans is tempting because maybe my opponent has an artifact piece of interaction, maybe a Gravedigger's Cage somewhere. But considering he also has Urza Saga, I believe he will probably keep any hand with Urza Saga plus interaction, because Urza Saga is a turn 3 graveyard hate. So he can force one of our enablers, exile one of our creatures, and then find a Soul-Guide Lantern. So yeah, let's try without any changes. My opponent is still doing his sideboard. Okay, we're back. We lost our first game. This is almost a keep, but being on the... if this Otherworldly Gaze finds us a land, my opponent can counter it. Let's mulligan. Oh, deck. You see, we won our first 2 rounds, but without any great starting hands, right? Do I keep this? Let's keep it. Again, it's barely a keep, but I think we can keep this. We have access to 3 lands, including our best enabler against the blue deck, and Otherworldly Gaze can be cast twice. So I will do it now. My opponent kept 7 cards, so that's pretty scary. Okay, it just resolved. Now what? I don't need Scouting Tarn. Honestly, I think I will not keep anything. I could slow roll here and keep Cephalic Coliseum, but my opponent kept 7 cards. We already can... Oh, my opponent is asking here about my yoga videos. In case you don't know, I'm a yoga teacher. But I don't teach in English. I teach yoga classes only in Portuguese. But I do have a YouTube channel about yoga in Portuguese. Okay, my opponent has a Thoughtseize. So we have 1 extra Dredger in our graveyard. Thank you, opponent. My opponent said, ouch. Okay, they decided for Golgari Thug. Wise choice. I'm sending the YouTube address to my yoga channel. And now we'll Dredge 5. Narco is good. My opponent is stepped out. And I don't think he has a Solitude. Yeah, he pressed F6 here. So Dredge 6, and Dredge 5. We have Poxwalker. Oh yeah. This is not a win yet, but it's pretty much a win. We have only 1 Cabal Therapy. So let's name Force of Will. Okay, this is a slow hand. Just Pondering and Wandering Emperor and lands. So I named Force of Will here because I'm expecting to win next turn. We'll have access to Dredge 9, Grave Troll plus Otherworldly Gaze. My opponent shuffles the library. So I'm expecting to reveal something. Okay, my opponent conceded the match. Okay, the game, I mean. Oof. Now on game 3, do we change anything? I feel like we are a favorite in this matchup. Our deck is... Okay, this is unfortunately a mulligan too, not remember. Our deck is super favored to win this unless my opponent has a turn 1 piece of interaction like he had on game 1. Let's mulligan. Oh, the first great hand in this league. In this challenge. This is a great hand. This could be a turn 1. I'm not sure if I would play it as a turn 1 because my opponent kept 6 cards. I'm not sure if I will play this as a turn 1, but I will definitely play this as a turn 2. Let's respect Force of Will. I will keep 3 enablers, 2 lands, and a single Stink with Imp. My opponent plays Tundra and Tamio, okay. So no Soul-Guide Lantern and no Urza Saga. Otherworldly Gaze is good if we need to rebuild our... Let's play Lion's Eye Diamond. I don't think my opponent has days, so we don't need to play around days. This is super tempting to be countered. And I hope my opponent counters LED here because that means... Okay, my opponent is countering LED. Because that means that we'll have a Faithless Looting and Breakthrough and Otherworldly Gaze next turn. So unless my opponent has... Okay, it resolved. 2 Dredgers. Unless my opponent has a... Even if my opponent has a Soul-Guide Lantern here, we can rebuild our graveyard super fast. Urza Saga, okay. So my opponent will go for a turn 4 Lantern and drawing extra cards. He has 2 cards in his hand. Death of the Storyteller. So this is like Esper tokens. Let's Dredge. Okay, Ox is good. If we hit a Dredger turn, it's game over. My opponent has a single card in his hand. Let's go for a breakthrough with x equals to 1. Dredge 6, Dredge 5. Dredge 6 again, we will chain Dredgers, great. And Dredge 5 again. We have Ox and Dredge Return and Satoru, we have the win, guys. We have the win. We will start this challenge 3-0, which is promising, which is also always promising. Let's return Satoru. Satoru is our combo piece. Just a 2-3 ninja, nothing scary. Okay, my opponent is not conceding, maybe he just wants to see the combo here. So we already have haste creatures, but let's cast Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent. Satoru will trigger twice. And guys, if you're giving this deck a shot this week for the first time, be careful to not die with your own Satoru, right? At the end of the combo, like we will do right now, you can say no to Narco triggers. Let's name anything. You can say no to Narco triggers, and you must sacrifice Satoru in his own honor to reanimate Thassa's Oracle. This way you'll never lose by decking yourself. So we won in every single way. GG's. I will not lie, I was super scared after losing game 1, but it was just supposed to be. We are probably on the best 4. Round 4 is about to start. We are paired against Faria Limer. I believe this should be a Brazilian player. Faria Limer is an expression that we have here in Brazil to name those people who works on Faria Lima Street, Faria Lima Avenue in São Paulo. Faria Lima is like a financial district. So opponent, if you're from Brazil and you're watching this, please confirm your identity. Oh, this is so close to a keep. This is so close to a keep. We are on the play. I think we can do it better on the play. If this Otherworldly Gaze was Faithless Looting, I think I would keep this. This is tempting. My opponent kept 7. This could lead us to a win. Is it too risky though? Let's mulligan again. Let's spin the wheel. Okay, this is our best hand so far. It was a risky mulligan, right guys? That hand was probably a keep, but I'm happy this paid off. So we play Scouting turn, crack it, for a Volcanic Island, and Faithless Looting. Okay, resolved. Oh, I think we'll say no to Careful Study here, because Cephalic Coliseum is better if my opponent has Wasteland, for example. It's just better to have more Coliseums. Oh, now I notice that I'm not in the center of the camera. Now it's better. My opponent has a basic Island and Ponder, okay. So it's a blue deck. Shuffles. And now we'll Dredge 6. Okay, since this is a blue deck, maybe we should go for Cephalic Coliseum instead of Breakthrough. Especially because we have another Cephalic Coliseum. So let's save our Breakthrough. And let's just crack our first Coliseum. Dredge, we have 4 Narcomoebas. We have Therapy, and my opponent conceded. Okay, what my opponent is playing? We know about Basic Island and Ponder. Oh, I just noticed that my microphone was off during the sideboard portion. My opponent has a Polluted Delta, and we have what we need here. Let's hope my opponent doesn't have a Wasteland. I'm betting my opponent is playing a Tempo deck or Reanimator deck. Okay, just resolved. Maybe I'm wrong, because everything is resolving so fast. Okay, my opponent cracks Polluted Delta for an Undercity Sewers. My opponent needs some interaction here. If they don't have, we'll probably have the win next turn. Basic Swamp. Oh, Doughty Voidwalker. Okay. So my opponent is playing Reanimator here. We have a Scouting turn. Before conceding here, let's play a little bit more, because we could raise a Doughty Voidwalker if my opponent had nothing else. But it's not easy. Definitely not easy. To raise it, we need to top deck creatures and hope that my opponent doesn't have a Wasteland. We will probably not win this game, but I will play a little bit more just to see our opponent's deck a little bit more. Arkish Bowmasters. We'll draw. Another Scouting turn. Let's crack it. Red mana. Looting. Draw. That's okay. Arc can do damage. Let's cast Otherworldly Gaze. No answers yet. Yeah. Oh guys, now I remember. I'm sorry. You couldn't see me sideboarding, right? So I included some bounce spells generically here. Just a couple of Into the Flood Mauls. So we have an answer against Doughty Voidwalker. My opponent doesn't know about it. But considering that we have a Cephalic Coliseum and Otherworldly Gaze in our hand, if we hit an answer to Voidwalker now, we have a chance. We still have a chance. Okay, let's put everything into our graveyard. We draw. Just a looting. You know what? I will cast Faithless Looting here. Let's draw. Cabal Therapy. Thassa's Oracle. I'll keep Therapy just to see my opponent's hand before conceding. Every information is valuable. But it seems to be just a Reanimator deck. So let's name Sticker Goblin. Okay. My opponent had a Force of Will. Let's concede here. And now we will be on the play against this deck with Doughty Voidwalkers. So now I will show you here what I am taking from the deck Sometimes I try different things. Now being on the play, I think Anger, Satoru, and Dredge Return are probably expendable to win being on the play. Anger because we don't need to be fast and my opponent has Wasteland. We don't need to attack faster here. We win or lose not according to having Anger or not. And okay, this seems like a keep, but we don't have Dredgers yet. But I like to have a Cabal Therapy on turn 2 if we couldn't hit a Dredger. And if we hit a Dredger with Otherworldly Gaze, we can cast Careful Study and Faithless Looting. My opponent is going to 5. Okay, let's go. This is game 3. Let's pay attention here. Let's pay attention. I'll just play Scalding Tarn here. I want to resolve my Otherworldly Gaze, so let's take a Volcanic Island and cast Otherworldly Gaze. My opponent kept 5 cards. Okay, great hits. We can put everything into our graveyard, and we can maybe win the game on turn 2. We have our 2 best treasures. My opponent played a Polluted Delta. With Dredge 6, Narcomoeba. Please, Narcomoeba. No Narco yet. Let's not play around days. Now let's play around days. Sometimes I don't play around days on purpose, because if my opponent dazes us, it's not that bad. It means one more turn before Dodge Voidwalker hits the table. So my opponent cracks for Underground Sea and Brainstorm, trying to hit Force of Will probably. It's not easier to have Force of Will after a mulligan, but it is harder, but my opponent can have it. Okay, they have a Force of Will. Exiling Consign to Memory. So now I will cast Careful Study. It's resolved. Dredge and Dredge, and now we have an Narcomoeba. Great. We have only one Cabal Therapy, but okay, my opponent conceded. Maybe they don't have anything else. And we won. This was fast. Round 5. We are 4-0, guys. And this is a 6-round tournament, and then top 8. So that means we are favored to... Okay, this is probably a keep. We are favored to go to the top 8. Even if you lose 2 rounds, but let's play for a win, right? Because sometimes you do a 4-2 and get 9th place. So okay, we have Cephalic Elysium, we have Looting, Cabal Therapy. My opponent has Once Upon a Time, maybe Eldrazi. Oh, it's Oops instead. Bogart Bog. Oh, we are getting oopsed. My opponent has another City Informer. No mana. Oh, they have the win. That's frustrating because our hand was super good. And it could be good against Oops on turn 2. Unfortunately, we lost the die roll. But my opponent had a turn 1 anyways. Let's see their deck. Narcomoeba. Okay, it seems like a build going towards green here. My opponent has Once Upon a Time, green lands, so that means after sideboarding they will probably have Force of Vigor. They don't have the blue bounce spells, but they have Memory's Journey, Pact of Negation. And now they have Cabal Therapy, Poxwalkers coming back to combo with Dredge Return in a similar fashion that we do in our deck, but my opponent can do this faster. Of course, my opponent is more like a turn 1 deck, right? If possible, and we can be grindy if we need to. But Oops is in a great shape lately. And that's why we have 8 answers to Oops. We need to take a bit of our combo here. All the combo ready. And some threats and enablers to include 8 cards. I think Careful Study... sometimes to take 8 cards from our deck, right? Against Oops. Sometimes I take 1 Breach, sometimes I take 1 Thug. I don't think there is a single answer. It all depends about what you have in your hand. Usually you win anyways if you can control the match. If you can control your opponent's plans for 2 or 3 turns, you can usually win the game. But we need to survive to win the game. Okay, this has no mana. This is a mulligan. Let's mulligan again. My opponent kept 7. Okay. Leyline of the Void and a solid plan to have a Cephalic Elysium active on turn 2. Sign me up. We play our Scouting Turn. And this is usually everything you want to have against Oops. A Leyline of the Void and Enabler's Lands, including a Cephalic Elysium, which is also great against Oops. So my opponent kept 7. Let's see what they can do. 8 cards now. Once Upon a Time. Nothing? Okay, that Once Upon a Time fails. Guardian of Freyalise. Datus Battle. Dark Ritual. Okay, my opponent will play something. Another Dark Ritual. Goblin Charbelcher. Okay, but only 2 mana. Oh, do they have a Simian Spirit Guide? Elvish Spirit Guide. Oh, come on. My opponent had everything to win on turn 1 anyways. Okay, guys, I'm not even mad. It's a bummer to lose so fast, but yeah, it happens. Okay, or round 6. Let's find a good hand. Please, deck. Mulligan. Oh, this is also a mulligan. Let's go to 5. We are on the play. Oh, this is good. We are on the play. Our opponent is Joker 10289. Let's put Narco and Stink with Imp back, because this is the full combo. We can even win on turn 1. Breakthrough, looting, LED, mana, and grave throw. Let's go. Hold priority here, and we discard our hand in response. We dredge 6, and 4, and 5, and 6 again. We have Ox of Agonas. And since everything... Okay, my opponent already considered the match. Sometimes I feel like a Oops All Spells player because we have some fast wins, like this one. The bad aspect now is that I don't know for sure what my opponent is playing. Not for sure, not for half sure. In the dark, we can maybe expect some artifacts, but I mean, we still haven't faced a tempo player here. So if my opponent plays tempo, they should play Grafdigger's Cage, so let's try a couple of shenanigans. And if my opponent doesn't play tempo, shenanigans are just 2 extra dredge cards, dredge 1. Sometimes it can make a difference. But I prefer to side at least 2 cards in the dark. And it's hard to side in Silent Gravestone in the dark because we have Dredge Return. So it is shenanigans or Consign to Memory or Into the Flood Maw. Let's see if shenanigans is good or not against our opponent. Okay, this is not the best hand, but it can be super explosive. It can work on turn 2, of course. Maybe you could find something better since this is on 7 and Narcomoeba is already a mulligan. Having Narcomoeba in your starting hand is already a mulligan. Let's skip. Okay, my opponent plays Bloodstained Mire and pass. We have a Cabal Therapy. We have 2 Cabal Therapies, but no black mana. Our best play is still Otherworldly Gaze, right? Okay, let's cast Otherworldly Gaze in response. We have shenanigans here. Let's put everything into our graveyard. So we have a Narcomoeba, Underground Sea, and Tomb. Okay, another blue-black Reanimator deck. Oh, and my opponent has Doughty Voidwalker. So if my opponent has some reanimation spell, I guess we concede. Animate that. We have a Narcomoeba in play. We have another Narcomoeba in our hand. So we'll see. In the dark, Into the Flood Maw would be better than shenanigans here. We have a shenanigans in our graveyard. But I still have high expectations on this card and this specific metagame. Okay, so Narcomoeba enters the battlefield, I think. Yep. And we will attack dealing 1 damage. Because this Doughty Voidwalker is a 2/2 because of Animate That. So we actually have the faster clock now. Of course, my opponent will probably have something more than that. Scouting turn. Attacks us. We will have a draw. Mounting. Okay, mounting is solid. Let's attack. We would like to see here black mana instead of mounting, but we can try weird things like breakthrough with X equals to 2, or probably Otherworldly Gaze from our graveyard, even Faithless Looting. Let's play the mounting and pass. I will just cast Otherworldly Gaze this turn. And of course, if our opponent has... Okay, just a brainstorm. I was about to say, if my opponent has... Let's cast this in response. An Orcish Bowmasters. This is automatically game over. Okay, we have a Scouting Turn here. Let's put those cards in our graveyard and Scouting Turn on top. And then my opponent cracks Scouting Turn for an Undercity Sewers. They lacked the top card. Another Doughty Voidwalker. Okay, we will not raise this. Let's concede here and save some time and go to round 3. It seems that all of our opponents on Blue-Black Reanimator are on Doughties after sideboarding. Because of that, I'm considering including an extra Into the Flood Maw after this tournament. Maybe 4 bounce spells are enough. 3 are also good, but maybe 4. At first I thought that 3 bounce spells were enough, but maybe 4 bounce spells are even better to guarantee that we have a response and answer to a resolved Doughty. Okay, so we are on the play now. Mulligan. Okay, solid. This is a solid hand. We could even win on turn 1 with this hand. But it's more guaranteed if we try to win on turn 2. Especially because our opponent plays blue. We have an LED to test my opponent's hand. And from there, we will have at least a Poxwalkers. Since we have a flashback spell and mana. Our opponent also kept sack. No. Our opponent? Yeah, our opponent goes to 6. For a moment, I got confused. I saw our opponent had a 7 card in their hand, but of course, we are still mulliganing. Let's test my opponent's hand. LED. I think I'm hungry. It's lunchtime here, but I will only have lunch. Okay, Force of Negation. It was nice to test my opponent's hand because now they have only 3 cards. As I was saying, I'm pretty hungry. I got no breakfast today. I need to eat. So Underground Sea. Our thoughts is, okay, in response, we will cast Otherworldly Gaze. So no Into the Flood Maw for us. Let's hope for a good Otherworldly Gaze here. It resolved immediately, and we have good cards here. Our best treasure, and we have Cephalic Coliseum in our hand. Okay, our opponent discarded Into the Flood Maw. Let's dredge 6. Akomoiba, we have 1 Bridge, 1 Cabal Therapy, and 1 Poxwalkers. It's a great start. Let's crack this. And Dredge 6. Okay, no other Dredgers, unfortunately. But we have another Bridge there. Single Cabal Therapy, so we'll have 1 Akomoiba, 2 Zombies, and 1 Poxwalkers after this turn. We have 1 shot to force our opponent to discard something. The obvious choice here is Doughty Voidwalker. But they might not have Doughty since they kept a hand with Force and Thoughtseize. Let's name Doughty. Okay, only lands. Wasteland, so we'll probably not cast Otherworldly Gaze. But if my opponent resolves a Doughty Voidwalker, we are fine. We can raise turn 2 Doughty with this board. Okay, my opponent decided to play Underground Sea instead. It means they are... Okay, we have an Ox there, but they might have something. Why play Underground Sea instead of Wasteland? I'm not sure. Let's attack here. Because even if my opponent has Orcish Bowmasters, they could cast with a Wasteland. Okay, our opponent is taking the damage, and we cast Otherworldly Gaze. We have lands and Dredge Return. This Dredge Return allows us to immediately bring back Ox of Agonus. So let's do it. Sacrificing 3 creatures. This can be countered by a single daze. No daze. Okay guys, I think we have the win here. Not this turn, but we will guarantee a win. Probably. We have so many zombies at the end of this turn and so many creatures. And this is usually enough to win the game against Blue-Black Reanimator when they don't have a fatty in play. We have the potential to be faster than Blue-Black Reanimator. I know many players think, okay, we won the game. A solid win. Now we will play the top 8. Alright guys, let's do this. We have a rematch against Farila Limer. And this is a great hand. We are on the draw though. But unless my opponent has Thoughtseize, Daze, and Force of Will, I believe we will have the win with this amazing hand. Let's see. Anger is good. Let's start with LED. My opponent kept 7 cards on the play, so okay, they have Entomb. For an Archon of Cruelty, it's an interesting choice instead of Atraxa. What does that mean? I think we'll go for a turn 2 here, because my opponent might have a counter spell, so I'll not go all in. Okay, Cephalic Coliseum is even better. We'll have a great turn 2. Let's discard Gargoyle of Troll and Poxwalkers. And you'll probably remember we played against 2 Blue-Black Reanimator in this challenge so far, and both of them have Doughty Voidwalker after sideboarding, so it is important to guarantee a game 1 win. Okay, my opponent has only Brainstorm, no reanimation spell, and 5 cards in their hand. We will Dredge 6. Akomoiba is great, no other Dredger though, but we will win this. Cephalic Coliseum, we will cast Faithless Looting, holding priority here. Let's crack for blue, and let's crack Cephalic Coliseum first. I'm pretty confident that we will chain Dredgers. Not sure, maybe I'm just hungry, guys. We won anyways. As soon as I passed priority there, I noticed that this was probably not the best bet. But okay, it would be better to just cast Faithless Looting first, since we had only 1 Dredger there. Just explaining one thing that could be better in the future. Okay, I was just too excited to win fast, because maybe if we win this fast, I can have lunch and come back quickly to our next round. But let's pay attention. Okay, we have 2 into the Flood Malls. This is so tempting. And now we don't have any. But I think this is better than our previous hand, because at least this hand has a plan. My opponent kept 7. It probably means Doughty Voidwalker. I hope it doesn't mean that. Underground Sea and Thoughtseize. Okay, my opponent will take our LED. And that's unfortunate. But maybe that means our opponent doesn't have Doughty Voidwalker. Maybe they kept because of Thoughtseize and something else. Oh, it's so tempting to cast Cabal Therapy targeting Doughty here. I don't... Okay, let's take Underground Sea. I hope it doesn't backfire. Doughty, Voidwalker. Maybe I'm just scared. Okay, no Doughty, but Wasteland instead. Oh no, oh no. Yeah, sometimes you play around something and you got another surprise, right? Now what? No land, and my opponent has Entomb. They have an Animate Dead there, so if they have another land, this is probably GG. Okay, now they have another land, so we have an extra turn. Okay, let's draw. Akomoiba. Let's concede here, guys. Let's concede. We're not going to win this game. So now we are on the play. I think we just submitted the deck, right? And this game we lost because, of course, my opponent could win anyways. But if I cast Otherworldly Gaze there, my opponent will let that resolve. No counter spells in their hand. And maybe we find another land and maybe something else. So let's not play scared now. This could win, but it is too slow to play on the play, right?
Let's try something better. Oh, this is so tempting. If my opponent kept a hand without counter spells last game. Now they are mulligan to 6. We need to resolve this breakthrough. Trying to hit dredgers and maybe looting to win on turn 1, on turn or turn 2. This also can be bad. If this LED resolves, I would be more comfortable keeping this hand with a dredger. Maybe I should keep this. If I keep this and my opponent has a counter spell, I'll probably lose. But I think I should try. Let's see if my opponent keeps 6 or go to 5. Okay, they also kept 6. Okay, we'll start with LED and Scouting Turn. Now, let's assume this breakthrough maybe don't resolve. I think I'll still grab Volcanic Island here. We already have an LED. If this resolves, I think we have great chances of winning this game. Oh, my opponent has a force. Exiling Brazen Borrower, now they have only 4 cards in their hands, so maybe this is a win. Scouting Turn and pass. We will draw another land. Let's play it. My opponent cracks the Scouting Turn. Surveil land. Okay, they don't want Entomb. They draw. Underground Sea. Oh, they have a Doubt. So Force of Will plus Doubt on turn 2. Let's crack this in response. And grab an Underground Sea. And now we need to top deck some cards. Ox. And now we need to top deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 2 lands in a row maybe? Oh no, my opponent has Thoughtseize. So Force of Will, Doubting, and Thoughtseize. My opponent even refused to draw Entomb. Yeah guys, that's probably on me. I kept a risky hand. It was a high risk, high reward hand. But okay. Cephalic Coliseum. If we draw a bounce spell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we draw a bounce spell, we can bounce Doughty, crack LED, activate Cephalic Coliseum because we will have Threshold. So we need to draw a bounce spell. Breakthrough is not a bounce spell, but we can cast it anyways, right? I don't think I have the luxury to play around days here. I'm not sure if my opponent has days after sideboarding on the draw. Let's cast Breakthrough. Okay, it resolved. But unfortunately, we don't especially want any of those cards. We'll keep 3 cards in our hand. I think we will keep Looting, Stink with Imp for sure, and 1 extra land. It feels terrible to put both bridges in our graveyard, but having more lands maybe allows us to cast more flashback spells in the same turn if we hit a bounce spell. We have a chance. We still have a chance. We need to draw 1 of our 3 bounce spells. Oh, my opponent has a Thoughtseize, another one. And now we only have Stink with Imp. That's fine. We can discard our hand with LED. But now we need a little bit more than 1 bounce spell. Another Looting, okay. We cannot cast Looting here. We need to pass the turn. Another land for our opponent. Now they represent Force of Will, 5 lands. Bounce spell. Narcomoeba instead. Do I cast it? I think I do cast, right? Because if I have a bounce spell, I will cast immediately. We just need 1 draw spell and that our opponent doesn't have a Force of Will. We are definitely playing around days now. We have 1 turn to draw once upon a time. To draw into the flute. Oh no. Okay, now this is the nail and the coffin. Yeah. Okay, I'll cast Faithless Looting here. We found our Into the Flood Maw. Just a little too late. So it doesn't matter now, but let's cast it. Take that, Doughty Voidwalker. And I will concede the game. Oof. That bounce spell resolved. So yeah, maybe we could win this if we had our bounce spell a little bit sooner. But this was a high risk, high reward hand. I knew about it. Guys, I'll have lunch and I'll come back soon to talk a little bit about our performance at top 8. So, what to say about our deck? The deck is incredibly well positioned in this metagame, at least online. People usually will not have that many graveyard hate in the main deck like before, because Psychic Frog is not a reality anymore. So, the Dredge Return package is even better, and as you could see here on this Legacy Challenge, the Satoru wins or the Thassa's Oracle wins are quite frequent. Anger is still really good. I'm super satisfied with the main board. I will not change a thing. What about the sideboard? The sideboard, as I said in the previous video, I think we are locked into these 9 cards here. 4 copies of Leilani of the Void and 5 bounce spells. But which bounce spells we would choose? Into the Flood Maw is an all-in answer, and I was mixing it with 2 Kyora's Dismissal to enter just against decks with Leilani of the Void. But I'm inclined to do a different mix here with 4 Into the Flood Maw and only 1 Kyora's Dismissal if Doughty Voidwalker starts to be so prevalent in the metagame. Today we played against 3 decks with Doughty Voidwalker. Of course, it was like a coincidence. 3 blue-black Reanimator decks with the same strategy after sideboarding. We won against 2 of them. We lost against our final match, or rematch, against the same player. But I played a lot against blue-black Reanimator this last week in Legacy Leagues. And usually 3 into the Flood Maw are what we need against them. Our opponent will also have probably 3 Doughty Voidwalkers after sideboarding. But maybe we could do the same math that we do against Leyline. Our opponent has 4 Leylines and we have 5 answers. So maybe if your opponent has 3 Doughty Voidwalkers, we should have 4 answers. Because usually we only need to bounce a Doughty Voidwalker for a single turn to win the game on the backswing. So what about 2 Shenanigans? Shenanigans didn't shine in this league, in this challenge, I'm sorry. But I had some great moments with Shenanigans this last couple of weeks. And that's why I'm testing it with 2 copies, because the same math, the same thing. Usually tempo decks in this metagame, at least online, tempo decks are playing with 2 Grafdigger's Cage after sideboarding. And since they also play Force of Negation, usually 2 forces or maybe 1, having 2 Shenanigans is better, so we can find Shenanigans easier. And since we have 2 basic lands, Shenanigans is usually a reality, and I won beautiful games with Shenanigans this last couple of weeks. So I trust this card, especially because Endurance is not so prevalent in this metagame. We don't see too many lands decks. So Leyline of the Void, Leyline of Sanctity, the white Leyline, is not needed, at least online, to win our matches. But if you, in your local game store, you have several opponents playing with green, you probably want to exchange the Consign to Memories and at least 1 Shenanigans and 1 Gravestone, or 4 cards from this 6 card pack here to include 4 Leyline of Sanctity, at least 3, but probably 4 is better. Dredge is a deck that benefits the most with Leylines, because we can mulligan into finding a Leyline, a couple of lands, and otherworldly gaze, and we can win games just like that. And this was a fast tournament, as you could see. After editing here, I'm not sure how long this video will be, but probably just around 1 hour or 1 hour and some minutes, because all of our rounds were pretty fast. And this is a fast metagame. We have Upsal spells. Even Reanimator decks can be really fast, since they cannot rely on Psychic Frog anymore. So their tempo strategy after sideboarding usually will revolve around small creatures like Doughty Voidwalker, Orcish Bowmasters, and removal spells and counters. Tamio, of course. So we have the tools to fight in this metagame. And I'm so surprised to not see that many Legacy players trying to play Turbosator Dredge in a competitive environment. Not just my deck, of course, the previous decks as well, because Dredge is super well positioned in this metagame, and that's my verdict. Now, what do you think? Let me know here in the comments below. Click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Every comment counts. Now it's time to go back to other Dredge builds in Legacy, but also in other formats, Modern especially. So let's jump into other decks starting on my next video. See you soon. Bye.